My name is Tyler Rivera, and this is the Retrial presentation for question A and test 2. So, my initial attempt, I did a pretty bad job on it, I'm not gonna lie. So, I went through the first attempt thinking that I can just create one array and just kind of fiddle with that and then it would work. Well, actually, originally I was doing question B because I thought that would be easier than question A because on question A you had to sort the array and I had no idea how to do that. And that I will get to that later. But like halfway through, I only had like 30 minutes left. I decided that I didn't want to do question B anymore, so I went back and did question A. But before I started doing question A, I kind of wanted to think of how to do it. Kind of like create the pseudocode in my mind of how I wanted to do it. And that wasted a lot of time. um, so I think you could see in the initial code, um, I just I just created the array and gathered some values, and from that I found the average. But I did it wrong because question A asked for two arrays, x and y, which at the time I think in a rush I just didn't do that correctly. Um, but once I did figure out the array and then figured out the average, once I figured out how to do those two, I was trying to figure out how do I find the how do I sort the array at the end from largest to smallest, because I had no idea how to do that. I thought there was a simple function like you just type in sort and then it would work, but it that didn't work. That clearly didn't work. um, so that kind of took a lot of time, and eventually the time ran out, and all I had was the first array and the average. So let's see. So that was it. So for my new attempt, I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to kind of make it neater because in the first attempt it was pretty sloppy. So I wanted to make it neater. That was the first thing. And I wanted to create three different variables, three different array variables, all float, I believe. Yeah, all float. So one for x, one for y, and then one for distance. And each of those would get its own scan function. So the user can input the x and y, and well, except for distance, that didn't get a scan function, but x and y got its own scan function. So I did normal for loops for both of those, and I kind of made it neat. Used the printf, so saying, hey, insert x for this, insert y for this one, and kept going through all the points. Using a for loop for all that, and it made it look nice. Um, yeah, since the test, I think I got a little more proficient in arrays and the for loops that accompany them. So by the third array, when I had to calculate the distance, it was very easy compared to what I had to do on the test. And I did it wrong on the test because on the test I think I did it wrong and then I deleted it, and yeah, it's not on there anymore. But on the new attempt, it was easier because I used the math header, and I just used the math header and used the square root function and the power function, just put everything in there, put the arrays I, j, and it worked. And I was able to calculate the distance pretty easily, and that was that. So I didn't have that much trouble with that. And yeah, so then from that, I had to calculate the average using that distance array. That was another for loop. And for that, I used a for loop to find the sum of it all. And then once I found the sum of it, I had to had to divide that by the number of points that that the user specified in the beginning. As you can see, actually on the graph over here, it shows I is less than points. So that was the points was another user input, and yeah, so that was used to calculate the average. But once I calculated the average, that's kind of when I hit the wall, because next thing I had to do was to sort the array. I had to sort the distance from a descending order, so highest to lowest, and I had no idea how to do that. And the process took a long time. I knew I would have to use for loops, obviously. I knew I had to use for loops. I didn't realize I'd have to use so many. I thought it would just be one and done, but nope, I had to use two. So I had to use two for loops, as you can see on the right. This is actual code that I from the compiler that I used. Um, yeah, but the two for loops were needed to compare two numbers. So actually, you can see it compares, and the if statement actually compares distance j and distance I. So it compares two different numbers as it proceeds to count up. And so, if one of the numbers is higher than the other, if distance I is higher than the other, then true, the if statement will be true. So then it would, store the distance I and kind of reset the numbers. So then it compares the two new sets of numbers. And that took a while. The storage I didn't know how to do. Well, I mean, I knew how to store it, but I just didn't realize I had to store it. And then I didn't realize how to store it, and the distance I to the distance j, that confused me. I didn't. I was because I was trying to figure out how do I make the if statement kind of go from one set of numbers to the next set of numbers if it's true, and that took a while. But yeah, so that basically was the code. That was basically it. And the only thing after that was get some printf statements and kind of clean things up a little bit, and yeah, make it presentable. So I think I had it print out the what was on the required output. So it said had all the distances and descending order, and then it said compared to the average, and yeah. So that was my new attempt. So thank you for watching, and yeah, thank you for watching.